Week 4 of the NFL was absolutely insane, and it has you wondering, some of these Cinderella stories to start the year. Are they for real? Are these teams legit? Well, we'll talk about it today. Let's go ahead and get into this sucker with power rankings. Let me explain the tiers, because we did change the tiers a bit this week. We went down from 6 tiers to 5 tiers to make it a little more simple. Of course, we got your bottom of the barrel teams, the worst of the worst, teams that are just not competitive. You got your plucky underdogs. I like this. Teams that I think, yeah, they're not good. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they can maybe upset some teams at some point this season. You got your playoff chasers, your teams that are going to be in the playoff race. Doesn't necessarily mean they might make the playoffs, but they're going to be in the conversation. And then you got your playoff caliber teams that I am 97.5% sure are going to make the playoffs, and then legit Super Bowl contenders, the teams that will be vying for their respective conference championship and likely going after the Super Bowl. They're going to have a considerable, just deep run in the playoffs. But we got to start this thing off the only way I know how, and that's with your bottom of the barrel teams. And the bottom of the barrel team this week, number 32, I think they were 32 last week for me as well. It's the New England Patriots. Man, it's rough times. It's tough. It's tough out here for a Patriots fan. But listen, you don't gotta start poor Drake May. Oh, we need to save our season. No, just do poorly. Do bad. Don't send Drake May to the slaughterhouse. Let Jacoby Brissett go out and take those bullets. It's fine. Just accept it. You're going to be bad this year, but you got your guy moving forward. Get better this offseason via free agency and the draft. Just get better this offseason. And right behind the New England Patriots, I'm going to have the Miami Dolphins. I'm a Dolphins fan. Fins up, baby. Fins up. And it hurts. It hurts so good. Listen, just the team's not competitive without Tua. That's just facts. Doesn't matter if it's Skylar Thompson. Yeah, it looked a little bit better with Tyler Huntley. Get his name right. Almost said Taylor Heineke. But looked a little bit better, but still the offense is just super debunked at this point. The offensive line is not playing good football. It's going to be a rough year for the Dolphins. Right ahead the Dolphins, I'm going to put the team that beat the Dolphins last night, and that's the Tennessee Titans. Listen, Will Levis is still making dumb plays, and now he's hurting himself, much like last year, actually. But the only thing I believe on this Titans team is the defense. The defense is hella good. You can't trust the offense. You just can't. Mason Rudolph, he's not going to come in and be the savior of this team. And I think Callahan already said that this is when Will Levis is healthy. He is our quarterback. Regardless, like, you beat a bad Dolphins team. I don't think that tells you much. I don't think it tells you much. Right ahead of them, I'm going to put the Carolina Panthers. The defense sucks, unfortunately. It's just not good. You lost Shaq Thompson just recently. You lost Derek Brown at the beginning of the year. I'm glad the offense looks fun. It looks fun with Andy Dalton at the helm. But at the end of the day, that's kind of all this team is right now, a fun offense. Right ahead of the Panthers, here at number 28, I'm going to have the New York Giants. You're just not going to get it done with Danny Dimes. That's just the truth. He's lost the deep ball, I guess. He had shots. He missed them against the Cowboys. This team was unable to run against a bad Cowboys run defense. And it's asking too much from guys like Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson to create after the catch. It's just not fair. It's not fair. Right ahead of the Giants at 27, I'm going to put the winless Jacksonville Jaguars. For as bad as let's call a spade a spade. Trevor Lawrence is playing bad football. The pass protection was pretty good on Sunday against the Texans. The receivers were good. The passes were not. Like, Trevor Lawrence missed on multiple big plays. Just I don't know what's going on with Lawrence. He hasn't looked like the same quarterback since the first half of the Miami Dolphins game. That was in the opener. I don't know. Maybe something will click with the Jaguars. They look more like that 1-5 team to end the year last season than that 8-3 team that started it. So I don't know, man. I want to say that this is still a very talented team. They got some injuries on defense with Oluokun and Campbell. I think Lloyd, he's not on IR, but he missed this last game. But Ronald Darby's just been bad. He allowed 11 receptions on 12 targets for 159 yards. Oh, yeah, he's been bad. Now, I only have one other team in this tier, and it's the team that beat the Jaguars, which isn't saying much. It's the Cleveland Browns. When Deshaun Watson plays well, this offense still stunk. The offensive line is hurt. They were down both starting tackles. You're also down Wyatt Teller. So the offensive line had a rough day at the office. Facing a Raiders team that was down Max Crosby. Tyree Wilson had a career day. Woof. On top of that, you're not getting help from the playmakers. You had Amari Cooper drop a ball, throw it up, and made a pick. You also had I think it was the go-ahead score. It was like a big 70 or 80-yard bomb get negated because of a penalty. The team's in disarray. It's in disarray. So these are my bottom of the barrel teams. Everybody loves the NFL draft, and I know you want to be familiar with every potential prospect that your team may draft. So I got good news for you. My draft guide is available for purchase. It is good throughout the entire draft cycle, and it updates through the season regularly. You'll get my current evals and rankings on hundreds of different players with player backgrounds and analytics. It also contains combine and pro day numbers, as well as my notes from the Senior and Shrine Bowl. You can purchase it for a one-time payment of $30 on PayPal, Venmo, and now I have the Cash App. Follow the link in the description and be sure to include your email because it is a Google spreadsheet. That is how I share it with you. So please don't make me hunt down your email. Just don't do it. Anywho, it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. Let's go to the Plucky Underdogs. Teams, again, that I think are going to be pretty feisty, but they probably won't win a ton of games. And I feel like that's the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, this is a team that's going to fight tooth and nail. They're going to play you hard. It doesn't matter if you're the best team in the league or the worst team in the league. They're going to play you tough, and it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be ugly in some regards, but that's just who they are. The run game actually did well this week for the Raiders. Yay, but don't expect that to be a theme. Though Jackson Powers-Johnson in his first start was relatively good. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see more of it. All right, at number 24, I have the Denver Broncos. Defense is playing lights out. Lights out right now. They're playing so good, and that's down Alex Singleton, a linebacker, so good on them. I think Baron Browning is also out. So, yeah, good on this defense. The offense they're just not trying to get in the defense's way. They're just trying to score points or at least have sustainable drives to where they could put the opposing offense in bad field position. And honestly, Bo Nix, he did a solid job of that against the Jets. They scored 10 points. It was enough to win the game. Right ahead of them, I like the AFC West, so we're going to stick with it with the Chargers. They got up 10-0 against the Chiefs. Some may say the Chiefs were playing with one arm behind their back. when your quarterback takes out your number one wide receiver for the season. Some would say that. I wouldn't say that, but some would say it. But the Chargers, they were down both starter tackles. Zion Johnson's not playing good football. Like, Justin Herbert, the touchdown was a nasty throw. Put it only where Ladd McConkey could get it, and McConkey made a good play on it. But I mean, this team is feisty. They're scrappy, and that's about it. I'm gonna stay in LA with the Rams. Basically, you got Matthew Stafford and Kyron Williams just trying to keep the boat afloat for the offense. That's all it is at this point, unfortunately. For the Rams, the linebacking core is bad. Worst linebacking core in the league, probably. They made the Bears' run defense look good. The Bears were able to get to the second level and then tear off big runs because linebackers couldn't fill holes. Linebackers couldn't make plays. They were too busy getting washed out of the run game. So, Rams, they're in a tough spot. I'm going to put the team that beat the Rams this past weekend in the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams is looking better and better every week. Still not saying much. The man isn't comfortable throwing downfield. He's missing on deep throws. He was 0 for 3 on Sunday. I think a lot of that is him getting out the ball with haste and in a hurry. And maybe he has some PTSD from just how poor the offensive line play has been for the Bears. But fortunately, I mean, you got a quarterback that can make plays. You have a defense that's also like top 5 in the league. So, haha, hee hee, they're good. They're good. Arizona Cardinals, they're coming in at 20 here on my power rankings. This team, they have to win shootouts, and right now the offense, they aren't in shootout mode. They haven't been in shootout mode since, well, week 2 against a hurt, beat-up Rams team. The defense, they're plucky. They're like that, bam, definition, plucky, but they're not particularly good. We saw it this week. It was a shootout. The Cardinals couldn't play in a shootout. I tried to tell Cardinals fans this. Team's not as good as you think they are. Maybe they'll be better as the year goes on. The last team I have in here will be the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson, slide. Don't take unnecessary hits. Jonathan Taylor, get healthy soon. High ankle sprain. Hopefully it's not too severe. The way the coaching staff's made it sound, it doesn't sound nearly that bad. And it sounds like he probably doesn't miss time, but I can't imagine the workload will be the same. But, man, the defense is like fine. It's middle of the road. That's just what a Gus Bradley defense is. And if Anthony Richardson isn't making big plays, this offense isn't doing anything. Joe Flacco stepped in and looked fun. I hesitate to say good. I think he did a solid job with the offense, leading them to a victory over the Steelers, a big one. Now let's get to that playoff chaser tier. But before we get to playoff chaser, I gotta talk about Underdog Fantasy. Give them a quick shout out. If you go to Underdog Fantasy, sign up using promo code realbroshmo. They will match your first deposit up to $250. Is the best place to play weekly best ball, or my favorite, higher or lower on player props. They have free promos every week. You could get in on the action at Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code broshmo when you sign up, and they match that first deposit up to $250. But bet responsibly. Bet within your means. New Orleans Saints, they're the first team up in this playoff chaser tier. They're a hell of a good team. They're a good team, but not nearly as good as they've been in recent weeks. I think a lot of that offensively has to do with losing Eric McCoy for like the next month and a half. That's a big hit. But the offense, like Derek Carr, they're still playing good. They played better than they did last week. The defense, it's kind of a down week for the Well, okay, I see down week for the defense. It was a down week for Paulson Adebo. Man played, he was one of two extremes, either really good or really bad. He had an interception and 3 pass breakups, and then he gave up like 130 some yards and had 3 penalties, with one being, well, the penalty to get the Falcons in field goal position to hit the game winner, which they did, and which is why I have the Falcons right ahead of the Saints. Okay, to be fair, these teams are on very similar heels. The Saints, you would probably look at the stat sheet and be like, wow, they had so many more first downs and yards than the Falcons. How did it turn out this way? Well, Falcons apparently are scrappy like that. Kirk Cousins is scrappy like that. Even when Bijan, he wasn't having a good game, Tyler Algier stepped up and was like, hey, don't worry. You don't got just one great back, but you got a hell of a good back as well in me. He played really well. Drake London made some plays. And honestly, the defense wasn't half bad this game. Now, I don't expect the defense to be good week to week, but they weren't bad. They weren't bad. At 16, I'm going to put the Cincinnati Bengals. Just got their first win of the year. Yay, the offense is looking great. Boo, the defense is looking bad. Not the secondary. This young secondary playing good football. Unfortunately, with Coach Lou, he asks a lot from his corners. He'll put them on islands, and they don't have the pass rush to sustain that. Like, they don't. Like, if your name is not Trey Hendrickson, then you don't get pressure. That's just the facts of the matter. Like, Sheldon Rankins, get healthy. BJ Hill, get healthy. Miles Murphy, get healthy. They need pass rush. They need someone to step up. That's not Trey Hendrickson. All right, and then I'm going to put the New York Jets. 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 Aaron Rodgers was a little hobbled in this game. Kind of a sucky outing. They couldn't run the ball well. It was a messy game. They got swallowed up by that Broncos defense, but there were plenty of chances for them to win that game. They just didn't. The defense, again, you do worry about their ability to stop the run and to get consistent pressure. So, there's questions with the Jets. Right ahead of the Jets at 14, I'm going to put the Washington Commanders. Are they for real? Offensively, I think they are. Jane Daniels is playing great football. The Cardinals were like, we're not going to blitz him. Beat us as a passer. And Jane Daniels was like, hold my beer. Because he did just that. The run game is really good as well. Brian Robinson played hella good. You had Jeremy McNichols step in for the hurt Austin Eckler, and he had 2 touchdowns in this game. The defense, I think schematically was really good. Dan Quinn, he brought those blitzes in and was able to get pressure on Kyler Murray, basically making his defensive line look better than what they are. I mean, it was really guys like Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu that were coming in and creating havoc. And then you had, a lot of the defensive line cleaning up after. But I don't believe in the defense just yet. I just don't. The offense, though, I'm buying in. Which is why the final team in this tier is their rival, Dallas Cowboys. You could argue, you could flip these two. But Dak's a good quarterback. You may not like hearing that, but he's a good quarterback. He's going to win some games for this team. And that's behind a offensive line that's going through it right now. He's with a run game that's, going through it right now. Defensively, a lot of big injuries. They entered the Giants game with significant injuries in the secondary, mainly at the corner position with Deron Bland. He started the year on IR. You had Kalen Carson missed this past game, and now DeMarcus Lawrence is going to miss a couple of games. Mike Parsons, he's got a high ankle sprain. Is he going to miss time? So a lot of questions in Dallas. I can't really put them any higher than this, and even this might feel a little high. Playoff caliber teams. Again, these are teams that I am quite positive are going to make the playoffs, but always there's going to be like a 2% botch, 2% error. So I don't know, maybe one of these teams ends up falling off in the later half of the season. But we're going to start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields showed something this past week. When they needed him, he was able to make big plays. Is he playing like phenomenal, elite? No. He is missing plays time and time again, but he's helping this squad play winning football. The defense could only do so much. They played from behind in this game and were able to come soaring back on the back of Justin Fields. So I buy into Mike Tomlin. What can I say? I just buy into Mike Tomlin. Right ahead of them, the Seattle Seahawks. They unfortunately lost last night. To be fair, they were a bit handicapped as, their whole starting defensive line missed the game. You had Nwosu. He has missed all of this season thus far with an injury. He's working on his way to coming back, but you had no Boye Mafe, no Leonard Williams, no Byron Murphy. Well, that led to, minimal pressure and the Lions being able to run the ball really, really well. Gino and Kenneth Walker did a good job of trying to keep this offense in the game, but there was only so much that they could do. Seattle's a good team. Don't sleep on them. All right, we talked about a good team. Now I'm going to talk about a team that's hurt. But I think they're good. In the Philadelphia Eagles. They go down to the Baker Mayfield-led Buccaneers. Bacon is bacon. Bacon is bacon. Baker is bacon. There we go. In Tampa. But keep in mind, the Eagles, they were down their top two pass catchers in A.J. Brown, in Devontae Smith. They didn't have their star right tackle in Lane Johnson. So, yeah, the offense was a bit handicapped. Defensively, though, this team cannot get pressure on the outside. They cannot get pressure from the edge rush position. It's basically Joshua Sweat, and that's about it. No Nolan Smith, no Bryce Huff, nobody's getting pressure on the outside, and that is concerning to me. It's concerning. Right ahead of those two bird teams, I'm gonna pack this one in with the Green Bay Packers. I think this is a hell of a good team. They couldn't get pressure against the Vikings. I was a little concerned about that, but Jordan Love, man, he's legit. You might be like, oh, he threw 3 interceptions. They were down like 21 points. They were down 3 scores. So yeah, he had to be a little crazy with the football to get this team back in it. He had 4 touchdowns. He brought this team back into the game. Like, don't hate. I still worry that he didn't look 100%, and I don't think he ever was going to look 100% with the knee. So I'm a little concerned. I always felt like I didn't like the Packers starting him this game against that Vikings defense. That was just sounded scary to me. Just like, stick with Malik Willis and just let Love get healthy. Love looked good. Doesn't mean he didn't look hobbled, but hopefully that gets better because this, I think, can be a championship caliber team. Now let's talk about Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. Baker Mayfield, man, is playing good football. Let's forget about the Denver game. As far as I'm concerned, the Bucs had a bye week last week. But Baker's looking really good. The offensive line played pretty darn well. You had Bucky Irving. He's eating into the volume, and he's just looking better than Rashad White. The defense played well, but keep in mind, again, Philly, they were down some pretty top-tier players on offense, but still the defenses looked pretty good for the Buccaneers all season. So, yeah, I think the Bucs are legit, man, and they are your front runners in the NFC South. I got one more team here, and it's the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Vikings fans are going to be pissed, and I know they are, because I don't have them in as a legit Super Bowl contender. And it's like I just can't I can't buy into Sam Darnold just yet playing at this level for the whole season. And he's coming off a relatively unspectacular game. Oh, he had 3 touchdowns. He had a bad fumble. He should have threw a pick on the opening drive, threw one in the end zone. They got lucky. It got dropped, and then they were able to score on end around. But for me, buying into the Vikings, it was always going to be a slow burn. I buy into the defense. The defense is hella good, creates a lot of havoc, creates a lot of turnovers. I love it. I love the defense. Offensively, they're functioning really, really well. I'm just kind of waiting for the wheels to fall off the tracks, and that might never happen. So that's why I'm gonna have this team here in the playoff caliber teams. And it's like, I don't want to take anything away. They've beaten some impressive teams, like the Packers, the Texans, the Niners. They've had impressive outings. I do question how sustainable this is, but I do think this is going to be a team that's going to be in the thick of things when it comes to the playoffs. But now let's move to those Super Bowl caliber teams. See, Vikings fans, it's not that bad. I have y'all one spot out of this tier, just one spot. But at the bottom of this tier is going to be the Buffalo Bills. Rough week for the Bills. Listen, I mean, they smacked the Jags. That was fun, but then they ran into a buzzsaw. That was the Baltimore Ravens. They had a chance to come back, but, trick plays. They either work really well or it's a catastrophe. In this case, it was a catastrophe. You had Curtis Samuel take the direct snap. Mind you, used to play quarterback, I think, back in college or at least in high school. But he takes the direct snap, tosses it to Allen. Baltimore does not bite. They force Allen to the sideline. Allen tries to make a throw, and he essentially gets strip sacked because he gets rocked by Kyle Van Noy. Also on the same play, you had, Marlon Humphrey. I don't know if he threw dirt in Dalton Kincaid's eyes or if he just swiped at him, but Dalton Kincaid went down. So, for one, you had the turnover, and then 2, oh no, Josh Allen's getting up slowly. Oh no, Dalton Kincaid is down on the ground. What the hell just happened? Why did we do this? But you didn't have a lot working early on in the game, unfortunately, for the Bills anyway. Better days lay ahead. I firmly think the Bills are the best team in the AFC East. Right ahead of the Bills, I'm going to have the Houston Texans. You kind of wish that they smacked the Jags. But, and to be fair, the game probably shouldn't have been as close as it was. But, you had a gimme early in the game. Was that because of muffed punt as well? I can't remember. But you had the Jags go up early. The Texans offense, mind you, they're missing Tank Dell. They're missing Joe Mixon. So it was a bit of a slow burn, but they also had probably one of the best late drives in a game that I have seen, whether it was just how composed CJ Stroud was, the time and clock management, the management of their timeouts from the coaching staff, Bobby Slowick and D'Amico Ryans. They ran a near perfect final drive of the game to take the lead and to secure the win. The Texans are legit. Right ahead of the Texans, I got the San Francisco 49ers. I believe this team will get healthier as the year goes on, and they're hella good. Hella good. I know right now they're sitting at 2-2, and you're like, how good are they? No, they're still really good. They're still really good, and they're loaded with a lot of good talent. I buy into this squad. I think they're going to they should make a case for being the 1 seed in the NFC. They should. And then at number 3, the Baltimore Ravens. This is exactly what you needed after kind of a rough start to the year. Couple of close losses. What you had, the loss of the Chiefs. Who did they lose to in week 2? Don't recall off the top of my head. Ravens, Sketty. You had the Chiefs. Oh yeah, the Raiders. That whole debacle at the end of end of the game. That was just a second half collapse. But they kind of decisively beat the Cowboys, and the Cowboys got themselves back into the game. But this was a decisive win. This was a good win. The run game was unstoppable. Derrick Henry was unstoppable. This defense is, I think, playing good football. Nate Wiggins looked particularly good. Kyle Van Noy is playing like it was like 3 years ago. The man feels ageless at this point. They're playing good football. The Detroit Lions are my number 2. And, man, they were perfect. Well, Jared Goff was perfect. He went 18 for 18. But, hey, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he went 1 for 1 with a touchdown. As a passer, they had the Detroit Special. That's right. It's renamed. It's the Detroit Special. Where Jared Goff catches a touchdown. The run game was unstoppable. Mind you, they were facing a depleted Seahawk defensive line. But the defense is also playing pretty well. I know Geno threw for a lot of yards on them, but there were also a lot of bullcrap penalties, I thought, in this game for Detroit. The officiating overall, it's just been a problem the last couple of years. Just has. And I feel like the turning point was that Saints-Rams playoff game, the pass interference that was not called. And since then, just officiating has been just full sail, stock down, terrible. Kansas City Chiefs, they're sitting at 1, though. I feel like I should knock them down because they hurt Patrick Mahomes hurt his number 1 wide receiver. That was stupid. Don't know why you would do that, Patrick, but he did. He did. And now Rashee Rice is probably out for the rest of the season. Like, for one, Patrick Mahomes, you throw the interception. Like, this guy, his touch passes have been all kinds of terrible the last 2 regular seasons. But we talk about this often. The regular season doesn't matter to the Chiefs. It's all about the postseason. That's why they sit here at number 1. They're also undefeated. It wasn't pretty against the Chargers, but they got the job done. Patrick Mahomes playing on hard mode here. He's like, okay, not only am I going to throw a pick, I'm going to take my number 1 wideout out for the season. And I'm going to ruin my fantasy teams, because I had Ray Rice in a lot of fantasy leagues. I'm going to ruin their hopes and dreams. And Patrick Mahomes, like you do to many Super Bowl hopefuls, and like you do to many, many AFC teams during the playoffs, you have killed my hopes and my dreams. But the Chiefs are number 1. Steve Spagnuolo, great defense there. But let me know what you think. Where would you rank some of these? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Let me know your takes in the comment section below. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. And as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.